and I was helping him out, but I never got COVID. Like,
Good. That's really really
I
good.
was not vaccinated at that time.
Okay, okay. So now I have to tell you this. There is a thing called somatic hypermutation. Since you have asked, I do not know how long you can correlate. So there are people who do not die due to AIDS. You see why? Because their MHCs are designed. MHCs are highly diversified molecules. Okay, they this particular locus no in the chromosome is called hypermutable location or hypermutable loci. So the mutation is so frequent that some people are having a particular kind of HLA which are so strong that many a times it has been seen that they are not infected by many different diseases. If you Google it or in some good website, you can also read about it. So I cannot able to explain it because it's a huge thing to understand. So what happens whenever the binding between your MHC and a target antigen is very strong, it ensures that your immunity is also strong. Now how you will ensure this? Either you have to train your immune system to identify the antigen, otherwise you should have so much variety of MHCs in your blood itself already that any antigen comes it gets eliminated. So I'd say that you are in the selected some or chosen some who are having a bit more this thing against this particular pandemic, this particular strain. I'm not sure whether the same will happen when Omicron breaks out or some other viruses. It can also happen that you may be, I'm not exactly you, but people like you may be having a very good immunity against multiple different viruses. Okay, and you should thank your MHC molecules for that. But you may not able to
Yes,
thank
sir.
your parents because it is
Yeah.
this is a particular case where parental what do you call parental gene parental genomic load is not completely this thing the in the offsprings in offspring because the site is hypermutable, so some new varieties may have come across which may be lacking in your parent also. Okay, I'm not saying it with certainty, but many times it happens. The parents are very much fragile against a particular virus, but the offspring is not. Because in MHC, this transmutation or transfer from one progeny to next progeny, there has been studies where new varieties of MHCs has been built because of the somatic hypermutation. Okay, so this may be a reason for that. Okay.
Okay, sir. Because you are right, sir. Most of the time, I'm not having any kind of disease.
That's good. You should also try to donate some of your this thing TH cells to people who are suffering from life-threatening disease like SCID. Now, SCID is a condition. I'm not sure whether you are aware of it or not. SCID is severe combined immunodeficiency disease. Now, what is severe combined immunodeficiency disease? It is exactly like AIDS, but it is not acquired. In AIDS, what will have? The elimination of TH cell is due to your act. You have acquired it. Okay? But in SCID, it's a genetic disorder where TH cells are not being produced at all. Okay? You are not to blame, but
Okay.
in AIDS, the patient is to blame if is so unlucky. But in SCIDS is a genetic disease, severe combined immunodeficiency disorder, where the thymidine kinase gene itself is absent, and therefore TH cells are not being produced at all. So we'll discuss all those things a little while later. I hope it will able to create some value to you. Okay, by saying so, I'd conclude today's class. If any more specific doubts,
So, during the COVID time, we have heard about a term called cytokine storm. So,
ah,
what is this?
ah, okay, cytokine storm is a condition where due to since this phenomenon was very new for this thing, there has been so much of localized cytokine production. As I have told you, cytokine production means what? Calling of macrophages, calling of neutrophils, calling of eosinophils. So these calling of eosinophils, neutrophils are where? Near the lungs. Because lungs contains this H2 receptor which has internalized this particular COVID virus, and therefore so much of interleukin activity around the lungs, and eventually the lung will become fibrosed. Fibrosis will take place in the lungs. Why? Because so much of cytokine will be there around it, and so much of neutrophils, eosinophils will try to eliminate the antigen. But while doing so, you remember this thing, while doing so, it will also kill the good tissue. The main objective of cytokine storm is a protective mechanism. It's nothing but a inflammation. In inflammation, what happens? In inflammation, the bad tissue is destroyed at the same time because specificity is not there. Lung also become highly overburdened by this infiltrating lymphocytes. So eventually the lung becomes infiltrated, and in the biopsy also it could be seen so much of infiltration of lymphocytes, and eventually what will happen? The functional tissue of lungs will get eliminated and lung will become fibrosed. पत्थर का हो गया बोलते हैं ना, एक्सरे के बाद डॉक्टर देख के बोलेगा कि मतलब पत्थर हो गया. Means what?
So
So
totally
much of
white.
fibrosis.
Sir, in X-rays, it looks like maybe like totally white.
Not exactly, it's opaque and some specific grading, but since I'm not looking after this particular thing, I will not comment. But this is very
Okay, sir.
specific. In CT it will be एकदम clear. In CT में ये बहुत अच्छे से दिखेगा कि fibrosis has taken over, and then so much
Sir,
of
that one,
specific
that
drugs.
CT scan, I think, sir, high resolution CT scan.
Yes. Normal CT scans will do, and eventually what will happen? The pathologist will write it down that fibrosis has taken place. They typically write like this: post-COVID fibrosis. So then the doctor will understand that Nintena should be started. So by saying so, we will conclude, and hopefully day after tomorrow we'll get back. Okay.
Thank
We'll
you so
talk
much,
about,
sir.
yes. We'll talk about something like I'll check it out. I'll let you know what we'll talk about. Ishita Vyas. Okay.